Hello, good morning, Celine. Good morning, Lydia Meyer Cunningham and Cheryl Neidhart. And there are 10 numbered in the viewers, or 11, and there's other 3 names now. Dina and Kerry. The readings today are very, very strong. And one thought crossed my mind was to many who follow here are not Christians. Maybe they're Muslim, maybe they're Jewish. Let me get this picture over here. And why do Christians think the way we do? And it's actually a very different worldview because of a major dynamic that's very present in today's readings. The drama is brought out in a very powerful way. And it's surprising, you know, one of the most important greetings for Christians is peace be with you. And that's challenged in the very first understanding of today's gospel. Actually, I had a different thought about 25 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, to start off with. What does fire accomplish? Imagine if we didn't have fire. We couldn't cook. And that's a problem for people who don't have fuel. Whatever emergency arises that causes that, maybe natural disaster, calamities. And life changes very fast if you don't have fire. But then think about other things. Think about the furnaces and the preparation of steel. Or think about gold being purified in the fire. And in that sense, the language of fire in the Old Testament is very much a language of purification, of God's judgment, of rejection of all that is not worthy, that doesn't have the value and consistency of gold. And Jesus says he comes to bring fire on the earth. And he does. We have that every day with the sun. The sun is one mighty fire. And it brings so much life. And through all that chlorophyll in the trees, it provides in the plants and the grass and the cereals and the fruit trees. It provides our food, that fire. I have come to put fire on the earth. Don't think I've come to bring peace, but division. What's going on? And that can't be really understood without understanding another very important Christian word. My kingdom is not of this world. And another parable is very interesting that helps us to throw light on this. When the workers come in to the owner and they say, somebody sowed weeds in the field. Let's go out and pluck them up. And the answer is, no, you got to be able to live with the weeds. This is not the time for plucking up the weeds and destroying them. How do we live with weeds? And in the gardens, we used to work a lot. That was a lot of the hard work of summertime, was weeding the gardens. Acres and acres of tillage. Farming boys knew that hard work of weeding. And you had to take care of your hands that they didn't get worn, the skin, take care of the skin. And take care of your knees as you went along, down on your knees, crawling along the furrows, weeding. Okay, we do some weeding, but then in this parable, and they know about weeding, that's what they're proposing, to go out and weed, and Jesus says, no, you have to leave the weeds. This is not the time, because there's another kingdom that's not of this world, and there's a moment of fire, of judgment. So this is part of the logic of Christian thinking. It's much easier for us to eliminate somebody that's causing trouble, that's disturbing my comfort zone. We live in a world that's very readily throwing away a lot of stuff, throwing away garbage, throwing away buildings, throwing away tools, careless, but also throwing away people. So if we propose that as Christians that we have to live with the weeds, some people won't like that. And they say, no, I'm going to eliminate all the weeds. And I'm going to guarantee a paradise right here because I want my kingdom in this world. Look at these lovely butterflies. Like, can you imagine in the Roman culture, the figure of the pater familias was very strong, the family father. And actually, the state wouldn't question if he killed a child. If that child didn't fit into his concept because of behavior, because of betraying the family, because of letting the family standard down, shaming the family. And actually that still exists in some cultures. It's sad to say. In fact, I know of some cases where the family lynches their own child. And the concept of lynching, I remember when I was in Germany, lynching isn't far away from us. It's definitely in my father's memory, and that's within a century. It was a very hush-hush type of thing. And I remember when he commented these things, it was always with tremendous repugnance and disdain. That people take into their own hands to eliminate somebody because of some vengeance, some revenge, some deep anger that's so violent. These are very big themes for humanity to wrestle with. And I was saying there about going through Germany, and then I thought of the example in Ireland. But I remember some people telling me about a place, and there was actually a cross there that was put up afterwards. And it was centuries ago, but lynchings happened in a region, in an area. I can still remember the road, and I know where the cross stands. How do we tame humanity? And nowadays, thanks be to God, capital punishment is becoming more and more rejected. Thanks be to God. There's a beautiful line in the Old Testament that God does not rejoice in the death of the wicked, simply because each one is a child of His, made in His image and likeness. I'm kind of opening up a lot of themes here, and we wouldn't be able to cover them all. But when Jesus says He comes to bring division and not peace, so let's say I become a disciple of Jesus, and I'm living, let's say, in a pagan family, in a family that doesn't have a Christian logic in their thinking. They may have some very good qualities and some very good accomplishments, but the Christian logic is not their way of seeing the world and judging the world. And now I'm following Jesus, and I have to love my enemies. I cannot align myself in the destruction of another person. I cannot align myself with a cruel joke. I cannot applaud improper speech, improper, disrespectful talk. And suddenly I'm becoming a problem in the family because it's a thorn in the conscience of the family. And it could be the society, it could be a club, it could be a profession, it could be a political environment. And how many people get eliminated? We have the famous phenomenon of cancel culture. So lynchings can happen physically or morally or socially. So I think we have a lot of topics here to think about. If I'm baptized and I'm following Jesus and I'm defining myself as a Christian, I can expect not a free ride. It can be a rough ride. My sister has a very gentle soul, so maybe she has a different angle on these readings today, or a different spot in the readings for somebody else.
Well, I was actually thinking when you were talking about the fire, how Catherine of Siena said, if we are who we are meant to be, we'll set the whole world ablaze. And I think this is obviously referring to the love of God instead of hatred and vengeance that we were talking about. And nature speaks so beautifully to us, especially this morning here by the Sea of Galilee. We see those trees rooted, like the one in the song, rooted in the water, in the living water. They bear fruit, and the leaves do not fade or die. So this is where our strength is in the Lord, and this is where the fire comes into our lives, through our connection with the Lord, through our prayer, through our openness to God's word. And this fire then will fill our hearts with joy and also help us to share it with those around us.
So in that sense, there's two sides, two dimensions, two facets of being a follower of Jesus that's so familiar to us, that kindness, that charity, that goodness, and yet the hostility Christians experience. And that Jesus prepared us to figure we're going to get that. And yet to continue being kind. It's an incredible tension, an extraordinary capacity, like a violin string. If it's not taught, it will not give us music. And if it's too pulled, it will break. There's a very healthy tension to be able to hold together these two sides, to be able to be strong and faithful despite opposition, and yet kind and gentle and tender, as each martyr shows us in their passing, forgiving their enemy who slaughtered them. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing music in culture that Christians are called to play. Let's leave it like that for today, people. We'll do our usual little selfie picture here. God bless you.
God bless.
See you later, alligators.